Tony Butt and James Roseblade onto the grass. And at Brooklands, Wainwright has caught number 90, Phil White, the leader. That's how close it is at the front. And these cars have got virtually identical performance. Cox Corner, Wainwright leads. Phil White second position in the pink Suzuki. Fred Darrell is in third position. And they're running very wide at Brooklands. Wainwright and White contact. Wainwright is pushed off. And now White and Darrell make contact. This is really hairy stuff. Well, Wainwright well down. Well down. On to Cox. Phil White leading. Brett Darrell is in second place. Then it's Busby in third position. Barry Pearson is in fifth place and number 111. Tony Butt is sixth. Beckett's. Brett Darrell and Tim Busby fighting for second place behind White. And at the end of the race, Phil White wins. Brett Darrell in second position and Tim Busby in third place. And on the right, Phil White is elated. Back to Thruxton in May for a 1 hour, 2 driver race, round 5 of the championship. In car with Michael Edwards, Brett Darrell ahead. And Brett gets away magnificently. Look at him, moving over to the right for the right-hander at Allard. And at the complex, Wainwright leads again. There he is, number 120. Onto the chicane, Wainwright, Darrell. Peter Baldwin spins. He is a multi-champion. You don't see that very often from Peter. Well, it's a long, long race, and now it's driver change time. Veteran Paul Taft takes over the lead car from Wainwright. Back into the race. Peter Baldwin out. Phil White in. Bit of trouble with the safety belts. You can be badly delayed there. Door shut, and away goes Phil. And Ray Arms takes over from Brett Darrell in fourth place. But at the flag, Paul Taft wins with his co-driver, Wainwright. It's a close race for second place, though. Busby just takes the place from Phil White. And Ray Arms with Brett Darrell in fifth position. Well done, Wayne, and well done, Paul. Now we're back at Brands Hatch for round 6. In car with Richard Denby. Wainwright ahead. On to Paddock behind the Class C cars. It's Darrell leading, White second, Busby third, and Wainwright in fourth position. From Paddock to Druids. And someone's lost it at the back. The red car. It's Michael White, broadside in front of the Jaguar, the fire car. And at Druids, well, there they go, round the right-hander, down Graham Hill, Darrell, Wainwright, Busby, first, second and third, on the clearways. Brett Darrell and Wainwright ease ahead of Tim Busby as they go into the Jack Brabham Straight. Now we're looking back from Wainwright. Busby is third. Where's Darrell? There he is, second. Immediately behind us, it's really close at the front, up to Druids. Wainwright, Darrell. Look for Busby now, there he is. Phil White in fourth position, clearways. Wainwright leading, White is up into second place, Darrell goes down to third. Then it's Tim Busby and Barry Pearson over the line to complete the lap and on to Paddock. Up Halewood Hill then. The right-hander at Druids is still Wainwright. Phil White in second position. Busby and Pearson. Pearson cocks a wheel up over the curve, and at clearways, they're still at it. Busby, Pearson in front. Then it's Richard Denby, James Roseblade, Steve Morris there. And coming up next, it should be Brett Woodley. There he is, and he's lost it. Straight into the tyres, but his car looks okay, and it's a Druids, and off at Druids goes Busby into the gravel trap. What a race. Well, Busby regains the circuit, and at the flag, it's Wainwright winning for the third time in 6 races. And there he is on the right with C-Class winner Carl Hopkins. And now to the superb little circuit at Mallory Park in Leicestershire, where you can see the whole lap, a lap that suits the Suzukis very well indeed. From the start, down to the long, sweeping Gerrard's Bend, in car with Barry Pearson, Tim Busby and Phil White ahead. Here is Gerrard's. Wainwright leading with Brett Darrell. Busby, there he is, third position. Phil White in fourth place. The lake on the right, the long straight ahead. In car with Pearson, that's Busby in front, and ahead of him are Wainwright and Darrell. Brett Darrell is in the lead, on the way down to the S's. Here they come. Darrell in the middle, just in the lead. Wainwright is on the right. And look at that, in car with Pearson. Darrell leads, Busby second, and Wainwright is right in front of us. On our way up to the hairpin. And Darrell and Busby are very close indeed. Wainwright hits Busby. Now Busby hits Pearson. And they all motor on. Incredible. In car with Michael White now. Coming into the Stebby straight, and Michael Edwards loses it. White clips him as he goes by. He was lucky to get away with that. Darrell is leading. Barry Pearson is second. Steve Morris is third. Wainwright is down to fourth position. And at the hairpin, number 98, Darrell is in the lead. And it's a good lead. There's a train behind him. Pearson is second. Wainwright is up into third. Busby is down to fourth. Now it is on to Gerrard's again. And here they come. Darrell. Wainwright is second now. He's gone up another place. Barry Pearson is down to third. Busby is still in fourth position. Into the Stebby straight again. In car with Pearson. Wainwright is ahead, and Pearson is starting to challenge. He's closing right up on the Suzuki ahead of him. First to the left, now to the right. He's right up with him. There's contact. He's hit Wainwright. He's off. Onto the grass. Pearson goes off onto the grass. Wainwright drops back, and Pearson rejoins, still third. That is incredible. And Busby is close up behind him. Now into and then out of the S's, and Busby has nudged Pearson. Busby spins out. Busby spins out. He's stationary, and at the flag, Brett Darrell wins. Wainwright second, Pearson third, and Phil White is in fourth position. Here they come across the line. And from Emma of the BARC, a kiss for winner Brett Darrell. And it's thumbs up from Brett. Brett's in pole position for round 8, back at Brands Hatch's Indy Circuit. Away they go, Brett on the left, but Wainwright on the right takes the lead. Darrell in second place, Pearson in third position. Down to Paddock Bend, the right-hander, in car with James Roseblade. Fifth place, Brett Woodley goes through, up to fifth himself. Now it's the climb to Druids. Wainwright leads, Darrell second, Pearson third, White in fourth place. Woodley, Roseblade goes through, 102, down to Graham Hill Bend, all together. Close racing this. Clark Curve, Wainwright leading, Brett Darrell behind him. Then it's Pearson third, White is in fourth position. End of the lap, over the line, together, Wainwright and Darrell. They are pulling clear of the opposition. Now, in car with Barry Pearson, chasing Phil White. Pearson drifts wide onto the old circuit. And at Druids, Darrell locks up, chasing Wainwright. There's the battle for third, Phil White and Barry Pearson. Down to Graham Hill Bend, Wainwright, Darrell, White and Pearson. Now, behind them, it's Denby, Morris, Edwards and Roseblade. On to Surtees. Look at this battle for the lead between Wainwright and Darrell. They're first and second in the championship. Brett is ahead in the championship by 2 points, but he's behind Wainwright in the race, and he's behind at the end of the race. Wainwright wins his fourth victory. Darrell second, and Brett now leads the championship by 1 point as they get into the victory car. Brett Darrell and Wainwright. Off around Brands. And it's a long trek now, north of the border to Knockhill near Dunfermline in Scotland, in sight of the Forth Bridge. It's tight and twisty at Knockhill. It's a real driver's challenge. And there's the grid. We're with Barry Pearson. Phil White is in front. Wainwright is second. Brett Darrell leads away. All the power up through the gears. It's a long drag down to the first corner. And there's Tony Lanfranchi in the Class C Astra. He's gone off. He's motoring hard to rejoin. And at the chicane, it's Darrell, Wainwright, White and Pearson. And number 117 is Michael White. Now the hairpin. Darrell leads, Wainwright second. White and Pearson, there they are. And behind them, Lanfranchi fighting back in the C-Class Astra. And at the Benny Benz, it's Darrell, Wainwright, Pearson and White still together. Brett Darrell, number 98, leads on his way to win number 3. Back again with Barry Pearson. Phil White in front, getting closer. In fact, getting a bit too close. It's a nudge. He's hit him. Sorry, Phil, says Barry. That's good manners. And in the chicane, it's Wainwright leading. He's got in front of Darrell. Darrell has been delayed by Andrew Jeffrey, the Scotsman, in the green car ahead, and he's very angry. He's gone off. Darrell is justifiably angry. And at the line, it's Wainwright the winner. So there is Jeffrey a lap down, and there is Darrell second. The hairpin, Phil White and Barry Pearson come home third and fourth. And it's Wainwright's 5th win. For round 9, the Suzuki Challenge visits Snetterton with its controversial new Russell corner for the first time in 1990. That's Barry Pearson. The green lights go, and they're away. And Wainwright leads away from pole position with Barry Pearson second, Brett Darrell in third position. In car with Wainwright, down to the S's, and Darrell goes through. Brett Darrell goes through. The most popular man in the Suzuki Challenge takes the lead from Wainwright. Under the bridge, round the bomb hole, on the ragged edge of adhesion, the two Suzukis. Look at this, they are really travelling. And Wainwright pushes past Brett Darrell. Off goes Darrell. Pearson goes through into second place, and Wainwright leads. And that manoeuvre looked over the top to me as the poor Brett Darrell walks in. And now there's the battle between Wainwright and Pearson for the lead. Pearson in the red car, Wainwright in the white one. In car with Pearson, the leader ahead, Wainwright. And Pearson goes through, incredible, forces his way through. And so it's Barry Pearson leading, Wainwright in second position. And down the field there's the same sort of battle for fourth position, James Roseblade and Steve Morris. Victory though, his first ever in the Suzuki Challenge for Barry Pearson. Wainwright is well out of contention, and here's why. Listen. There's a problem with the car. He's having to turn left for right-hand bends, and that's something new. A poor race for Wainwright, but a super race for Barry Pearson. In fact, Barry takes the laurels for his first well-deserved win. At Donington for round 11, Wainwright leads the championship by 1 point from Brett Darrell. Second on the grid, number 92, Tim Busby, sharing his Suzuki because this is a 500-kilometre race. And the gallant Brett Darrell, starting third, says, I'm going to be number 1. It's a long, long race, this one. By far the longest in the 14-round championship because it's destined to last for nearly 4.5 hours. And that's really tough on the machinery. Round Redgate they go for the first lap. In car with Tim Busby. Past a BMW M3, that's saucy. Chasing Tony Lanfranchi's 2-litre Astra, that's saucy too. And Wainwright's got it all wrong, in the lead, but he's hit something and he'll have to come into the pits. And now, number 98, Brett Darrell leads. And now the routine stops. There's Steve Morris, number 101. The driver change. In goes the petrol. Brett Darrell hands over to Ray Arms, who pulls out. Phil White comes in. It's Pete Baldwin's turn now. And number 92, Tim Busby to Simon Munger. That's Phil White watching a brake pad change. Brakes are a big problem here. It's a long race. They get very hot. They wear out. Now Peter Baldwin has taken over. He rejoins in 4th position behind Brett, Wainwright, Busby, but victory at the Donington 500 goes to Brett Darrell to lead the championship, and 2nd to Barry Pearson, 3rd to Tim Busby, and 4th to Wayne Wainwright. Really travelling. The winners, Brett Darrell and Rayard. And here's another first. The Suzuki Challenge drivers and their cars at Alton Park for round 12 at the glorious Cheshire Circuit by the lake. Another tough one for man and machine. Out they go for the battle. On the grid in car with Phil White, down to Old Hall Corner. Past the new control tower, the C-Class cars ahead. Looking back at Michael White, Brett Woodley, Richard Denby, Michael Edwards. Round Old Hall, Brett Darrell leads Wayne Wainwright. Barry Pearson is in 3rd position. One of the C-Class cars goes off. And it's Wainwright, Brett Darrell, they're at it again, as they have been all season. Out of Lodge, into Deerleaf. Over the line, into Old Hall Corner. Wainwright, there's Darrell. And there are lots of problems at Old Hall. There's one, and there's another. From Old Hall to Fulston's, still Wainwright and Darrell. Then there's a bit of a gap. 3rd position, Busby. 4th, Pearson. 5th is White. And they're at it hammer and tongs around Alton Park, including number 94, Richard Denby. Lodge, and Darrell goes for it again. Too much, too much. He nudges Wainwright. Push it. Sixth at the chicane, Michael White. 7th, Edwards. 8th, Richard Denby. But it is another win for the smiling Wayne Wainwright, who gets the spoils of victory from Firestone's Mark Hales. Now, here's Bunter for the next 2 rounds.
Thank you, Murray. And for the final 2 rounds, we journey a long way south to Thruxton Circuit near Andover in Hampshire. The first one of these being on the 9th of September. And on pole position, we find Wayne Wainwright. Alongside him is Simon Munger in Tim Busby's normal mount. And on their outside is Phil White. And as the red lights change to green, we're riding alongside Barry Pearson, and we can see Phil White is in the lead of the class, jumping ahead of Wayne Wainwright as they go into the right-hander just after the pits. And Brett Darrell is now alongside Wayne Wainwright, trying to take 2nd place, but Simon Munger goes around his outside and takes 2nd from Brett. So Brett's 3rd, Wayne Wainwright's 4th, but Barry Pearson now pulls alongside Wayne to take 4th position. Wayne has to give better to Barry. And as the cars come up to the chicane for the first time, it's Brett Darrell now taking the lead from Phil White, with Wayne Wainwright's 3rd, and 4th is Simon Munger and Barry Pearson together. Phil will be desperate to get back his lead. He's just lost to Brett Darrell, and he goes through the inside there. Barry Pearson's now a lonely 4th. Behind Simon Munger, as we come up, there is a car that's turned itself over, and Simon hits Barry Pearson. Barry goes wide. Simon has nowhere to go. We can see again, and Simon actually kisses Brett Darrell, who's on his roof. Brett was inverted by an errant BMW from the Class B cars. As the race continues, it's Phil White in the lead from Wayne Wainwright, with Barry Pearson 3rd. As the marshals try to get the car back onto its wheels again to clear it out of the way of the oncoming field, Brett Darrell jumps in to guide it, but he's probably got a different opinion. The car is now actually running again as Brett pulls it from the track. He's going to turn it round and rejoin the race. And he's still on the same lap as the leaders. The crowd are applauding his efforts, their gallant efforts, as he continues. And the lead is now Wayne Wainwright from Phil White. They're very close together. 3rd is Barry Pearson and 4th is Simon Munger. As Steve Morris and Michelle Edwards decide to have a spin at the chicane, Steve loses little time, but Michelle has to do a 360 to continue. So after 10 laps, as a checkered flag appears, it's Wayne Wainwright who takes the honours from Phil White, with Barry Pearson in third. And Brett Darrell, with a very battered car, actually finished the race. The final round at Thruxton on October the 14th saw the Suzuki Swift Challenge still open, as Brett Darrell still has a slim chance of wresting the championship from Wayne Wainwright. And we actually got Brett to carry a camera for the first time this year.
I haven't forgotten, you know.
As he feels that there's always somebody sitting alongside him when the camera's running. So we wait for the green lights to come on and the cars to leave the grid. There is a small gap on the grid before the Suzuki Challenge cars. And into the first corner, it's Phil White and Wayne Wainwright side by side. And we mustn't forget that Phil White could still finish second in the championship if he beats Brett Darrell to the flag. As we're alongside Steve Morris now to the complex, he's battling it out with the Golf as he has to take to the grass to miss the Golf. Will he re-enter? Yes, he enters the track and goes straight across and off the other side almost, as he rejoins at the rear of the field behind Tony Butt, who's made a comeback in the season, and a 309 GTI from the Class C. As the cars appear on Hangar Straight, it's Wayne Wainwright in the lead with Phil White on his tail and a Volkswagen between himself and Brett Darrell. And as with all races this season, this race is not going to be short on thrills or spills. The cars approach the chicane and we're with Steve Morris, and the 309 GTI just ahead of him is losing it and spinning. Steve Morris misses him, but Tony Butt headbutts him straight on. As the 309 and Tony Butt will now retire from the race. It's Wayne Wainwright in the lead with Phil White still not giving in second place. Brett Darrell has now got past the Volkswagen and is in third place on Phil's tail. Fourth is Barry Pearson, and we're looking with Brett Darrell up to the chicane. There's not enough room to go through, but Brett has actually got through past Phil White. So Brett is in second place and he's on the chase of Wayne Wainwright just ahead of him. But the supposedly faster cars from Class A and Class C seem to be getting in the way of Brett Darrell and Phil White. Brett has now got a Sierra between himself and Wayne Wainwright, as Steve Morris tries to make up the ground he lost on the first lap. Up to the chicane with Brett Darrell, and he's in second place now. He's in third. Phil White managed to find a clean way past him into the chicane. There's not normally two lines through that chicane. But it looks as though Wayne Wainwright will win the race. He's a long way ahead in first. But we mustn't forget that Brett Darrell and Phil White will now be battling for second place in the championship, because either car can actually win. Phil White's holding off Brett as they go through the complex. Phil has a large slide sideways, and Brett's all over the road trying to keep the Volkswagens behind them. They're intimidating these much larger cars, who are staying well out of the way for the battle for second place in the class. Wayne Wainwright comes through, hopping over the curbs. As we're riding with Brett Darrell up to the chicane, the sun must be in their eyes. He takes the outside line round the outside of Phil White, trying to hold Phil at bay as they come through the middle part, and they've touched, and Phil, the car's dug in and rolled over. Brett missed the car completely. And will Phil be allowed to continue like Brett was at the previous race? As Brett continues through the complex, and there's gremlin-like noises coming now from under the bonnet of Brett's car. His race is run, but the race has been stopped, and Phil White is out of the car and is okay. So the race has been declared as of the previous lap, which means Wayne Wainwright has won and Brett Darrell finished second. The championship finally going to Wayne Wainwright. The 1990 Suzuki Swift Challenge final positions are as follows. First was Wayne Wainwright with 61 points. Second, Brett Darrell with 52. Third was Phil White with 44. Fifth is Tim Busby with 23.
Hello and welcome. Don't worry too much about